Back and welcome back because today we are going to talk about the universalized English words. If you don't know what the universalized English words are, remember, get your notepad, your pencil, your pen, your eraser, invite somebody and come enjoy me today. Guys, when I talk about universalized English words, it's important to remember that before them we have some other stuff that we need to talk about. Okay? One of the things I remember now, it's exactly this idea of saying that something is universalized. Okay, maybe it's a little bit too much, at least for me, to say that English is a universal language. But why do we say that it's universal? Because probably if aliens, if extraterrestrials come to the world one day, which language we are going to try to use and talk to them? We are going to try to use English. According to researchers, English is the most used, the most powerful language in the world. It's not the most spoken, because remember we have Mandarin Chinese, we have Spanish and other languages that are also very used in the world. But the one that is very useful everywhere I don't know, you can imagine, the language is the English language. Okay, so that's why we sometimes say that it's universalized. Of course, it comes from the word universe. So universalized because it belongs, it goes throughout the universe. Okay? So I'm going to talk to you today about some of these words. And remember, sometimes we try to believe that everybody speaks or everybody knows English. That's not true. We know that there are too many people learning, studying, teaching, using English somehow in different levels of fluency and different levels of proficiency. And this is a kind of a problem because sometimes we need to understand that English can be like first language, second language, foreign language. I'm going to put that for you because then you understand it better. Okay, let me check. Yes, it's okay. So English can be, first of all, the first language. So when we talk about it as a first language, you're talking about the native speakers. Americans, let's say Australians, British, right? The guys who kind of invented the language. And this is important to understand. The second one, and of course the second language, is because these people or peoples, they have their mother tongue, they have their first language. In English, it's a kind of a helping language. If they have a kind of a trouble in communicating with somebody that do not know their own language, then of course they skip to the English language. So it happens in some countries in the world, and Brazil is not one of these countries. Because in Brazil, English is still a foreign language, okay? It means what? That people do not speak English on the streets. We do not use it officially, although we have English here and there in some aspects of our everyday life, especially on the media, okay? People use English a lot. And it's not something that happens, let's say, in Canada, for example, or even in India, where people use English as one of the helping languages in their everyday lives. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why. So when we say that English is universalized, we can grab all these languages all together, grab them all together, because it doesn't matter if it's the first, the second, or foreign language, but especially we are talking about the two last ones, the second and foreign language. Let's suppose, for example, that a person does not know that much related to the English language. If the person does not know that much about the English language, for some reason, the person knows at least some words related to them. And these words may belong to different fields. Okay, so let me write here the word fields. Okay. So when we talk about these universalized words, remember that we can talk about, for example, let me try to remember here, because it's live, right? I don't have things like organized, but anyway, so you say like, when you think about tourism, for example, we have some words. What else? Well, maybe I guess technology is something that is very useful. and the last one about science. Okay, we can talk about education and stuff. But especially tourism, people like to go to English-speaking countries, and sometimes they do not have a good command of the English language. So then they use some devices, let's say some applications on in their cell phones, for example, to communicate. But one thing is when you communicate by using some devices, some technological equipment. Another thing is when you use your own voice, when you show the people, the other people, right, the natives, that you are able to speak that language. And then you are going to learn some sentences, some words. You are going to survive, even if you do not know English that much. But remember, we have lots of other fields. I'm going to write here just etc. because it's just a summary of what I'm going to try to say to you. So in fields like tourism, technology, and science, there are certain words that we cannot avoid using. And these are part of these universalized words. But the words I want to mention, and let me put here some examples, okay, are words that there is no way for you to express yourself in a nice and understandable way without you using them. As I said something about tourism, although the word is from French, we have the word tour, for example. Okay, sometimes we use the word trip, which is another word that we use very often. Another word that I know that people use a lot is the word voucher, or voucher, as some other people say. Regarding technology and usually related to the internet and the computer related words, we have, for example, nowadays the laptop, which Brazilians like to say notebook. Okay, so these are words that we use and we use a lot. Let me put it up here because maybe you can't see it. So then you see there, we have the words tour, trip, and voucher, or voucher, and laptop and notebook, by the way. Let me see what else I can say, man, just to remember. Okay, so maybe tablet. Okay, it's another one that we use. And as I said before, the word app. Okay, if you don't know, app means application. Let me put it down here as a star. So we say as an application, by the way. And one thing that we need to avoid doing, especially when I'm talking to Brazilians, is try to avoid translation. It's not that translation is not useful, but sometimes, and as you're going to study and learn and master the language, you will understand that translating is not exactly something that is going to be very useful for you. Okay? Okay, so then we have the laptop or notebook, the tablet, the app for the application, and it goes on. About science, I guess the other part is science, right? Yeah, so let's consider like science and technology, something very related, because I think it's gonna be easier this way, okay? Because when we have some other words that we use, I'm gonna try to do like this. We have words like marketing, for example, that we do not translate. We usually say, oh, I study marketing, or marketing, as we say here in Brazil. Okay. Let me see another one that we use. We use the word workshop, especially in teaching, and also science. The guy is going to present a workshop, for example, so it's something that is possible also. What else, man? What else I can use? Okay, of course, the word video game or only game. So these words like marketing, workshop, and video game, we can consider them some of these universalized English words. But then if you ask me, Jerry, which are some of the most universalized English words, those that probably the whole world uses? Well, some of them, let me put like two of these. Well, I would say The word English itself is something that everybody uses. Sometimes people don't use capitalized, they use like this, which is usually considered a mistake. So you gotta use like a capitalized. It has to be like this. Another word that everybody knows is the word show. Okay, I guess people use a lot, although nowadays we use the word gig. Okay, yesterday, by the way, I was visiting because of our conversational English group. I showed them the site run by Paul McCartney crew, and then they don't use the word show, they use the word gig, for example. So some words like these, like show, are being less used, more and more less used, and now you use the word gig. Okay. Another one that I like so much, and I like to write it like this, is the word okay. Remember that okay you can also write like okay, just two letters. It's going to be the same way. It doesn't matter. But when you say it, when you pronounce it, remember okay. Forget the Brazilian way of saying okay or something similar to that. We usually say O because it's letter O, and K because it's letter K. So then you say O, and then you say K, right? Well, if you ask me, Jerry, how many universalized words or English words are there? Well, I would say there are thousands, because try to, as you use the internet, as you listen to songs, only about songs, by the way. Let me put here, songs or music, okay, as I mentioned this. Songs and music, for example, if you just think about the music genres that we have, the types of music, in other words, man, you just remember my favorite, and then we have like rock, pop, that of course it means popular. We have reggae music, for example. So only here, I gave you three kinds, three different words, rock, pop, and reggae. And what I tell Brazilian learners of English is pay attention to the pronunciation of letter R, because in Brazil, R has different pronunciations. It depends if it's just one R, double R. And in English, this case, we usually say R, as we say rock, as we say reggae, and then it goes on. So you see, I just mentioned songs, I just mentioned music, and then I just remembered lots of other words. Okay? But I have a suggestion to you, or some suggestions. I'll give you two suggestions. Because perhaps you're going to say, Jerry, but how do I know that the word is universalized? Well, because it's being used repeatedly and repeatedly here, there, and everywhere. A word that I remember now, for example, is the word insight. Some people, when they are talking, they say, man, and then I got an insight. You see, when it's something very common, very normal, very natural, people are using that as if it were part of their own language. Let's say we use English words as if they were part of the Portuguese language, as we speak Portuguese in Brazil. Or maybe you are in China, and the Chinese people, let's say, they're speaking their language, and let's suppose that you understand their language, the Mandarin Chinese, and then the person uses an English word. So this is what we call universalized words, because they use it very normally. But my suggestion, and this is what I do in the classroom, is when I ask guys about the English words they know. Okay? This is something that I think you need to do. Which are the English words you know? Are they related to science? Are they related to tourism? Are they related to music? Are they related to what? Most of them are not going to be related to any particular field. They are going to be common words, ordinary words. They are going to be some of the most used words in English, probably, but not exactly universalized words. But even though they are very simple words, they are useful. They are part of your everyday life. And sometimes you learn them at your regular school, Maybe you learned them because you read some books, because you watched some movies, because you listened to some songs, podcasts, I don't know. But they come from somewhere. They don't come out of the blue. You need to know them. You need to have learned them before. The other part that I think it's a nice one is about the English words you would like to know. This is something that sometimes I ask guys in the classroom, and sometimes they don't know exactly what they want to know, what they would like to know. Man, I never thought of that. What I would like to know? Let me think. So this is something that you need to be prepared for. Because sometimes when I ask, hey, give me some English words you know, people are going to say cat, dog, house. Okay, they are useful, but only. Why don't you begin with other possibilities? My suggestion is that you go from A to Z. Try to remember the English words you know from A to Z. For example, let me give you some ideas. Even though it's possible that you begin with apple, and no problem if you say apple, try to remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Remember that the English alphabet has 26 letters, just same number we have in the Portuguese language. Just imagine if you use 10 words for each letter, but 10 words you know that are words, or that are letters that you won't remember 10 words. But if you remember one, at least one, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10, better. But let's suppose in 26 letters, you remember about, I don't know, on average 5, man, you're gonna have in your brain, in your mind, about 130 words. 130 words. That's not a lot. In English, we have, according to researchers, we have millions of words. I repeat, millions. Others say, no, man, only thousands. There are words we never use. There are words that are ancient words. They are not really used anymore. Whatever. But you have, let's say, thousands and thousands of words. You just know hundreds or hundreds. You need to learn more and more. So as you have the word, for example, apple, why don't you go, for example, using AB, AC, AP, whatever. It can be like AP, just to give you like a 1, 2, 3 example. So ab, and then you go absent. C, let's see, C, we say, well, the one I remember now, acquire. Another suggestion, if you have time, patience, absent is an adjective. Acquire is a verb. It's usually a verb, right? And apple is a noun. If you do something like this, you're going to learn not only vocabulary, not only the lexicon, but also you're going to review some parts of grammar. It's not an obligation, remember, it's just a suggestion that I bring to you. Regarding letter Z, for example, there are lots of problems sometimes for people to remember because we don't use too many words with letter Z or beginning with letter Z. But anyway, we remember like zero, zuo. Well, let's see any other that may be zoo. Okay, I remembered another one. It big comes before, like zebra. I don't know if you realize it, but I use them in alphabetical order, like ZEB, then ZER, then ZO, or double O. So in situations like these, another suggestion is this one. Now here I did that. AB, AC, and then AP, because I put them in alphabetical order. So sometimes in the classroom, students say, Jerry, is it important? Well, it's important. Because if you kind of organize your mind in such a way that you're training your brain to remember something easily, well, that's what you need to do. You need to simplify your learning. Most of all, you need to simplify your memorization. Because if you just learn, but you do not memorize, you're going to forget it easily. And what you have to do, including the universalized English words, is that you need, of course, to remember these words. So take my advice, try to memorize the words, try to create a pattern. A good pattern is alphabetical order. Well, about the English words that you would like to know, remember that they are any word that you have in mind. I don't know, let me just look around here and think of something. For example, sometimes we have the word legenda, okay? Of course, I'm using Portuguese to English because you want to know the word in English. So you need to know your language, so then of course you translate to the other language. So legenda is something that is useful because when you're watching a video, when you're watching a movie, we have different words. For example, when you have a video, we call caption. You usually say legendas, right? We usually say plural. So I'm gonna put like this, okay? So legenda. In English, you usually say the captions or the subtitles. But remember, subtitles usually in movies, series, something like that. And the captions, videos. Videos on YouTube, for example, we call them captions. The captions are also used in pictures, photos. So then you have there the captions too. Well, let me think another word that may be useful. I don't know, man. I need to kind of invent something. Well, let's use the word, because we have two different words, let's get to the word dedo or dedos. Because this is also interesting, because we have the fingers, and the fingers are in your hands, for example. When you have the hands, you have the fingers. But when you have the toes, and the toes are in your feet, for example. So remember, your hands, fingers, the 5 fingers, the 10 fingers. When you talk about your toes, right, down there, not the hands, but the feet, so then we have the toes. So remember that hands, because it's singular plural, but then we have the foot, feet. Let me put here, foot, feet, because then we have foot as singular and feet as plural, by the way. Let me see another one. Okay, there is one that is interesting. One of these days, a guy asked me, the guy didn't say açougue, so the guy said casa de carne. And I said, man, that's great. Casa de carne, Jerry. I know açougue, but how do you say casa de carne in English? But guy, you just translate. It's a meat house. A meat house is a casa de carne. Okay, carne de casa. Man, I would use the different way. I'm sorry. So, meat house is what we call in Portuguese casa de carne. Okay, so when you use from Portuguese like this into English like this, is a nice way for you to remember words or learn words, because then you go to the dictionary. The dictionary helps. These are bilingual dictionaries, of course, they help. But they have kind of problems. So I have my restrictions when it comes to bilingual dictionaries. But how can you get the word? The only way is using, of course, these bilingual dictionaries. But never forget that we have possibilities of using Google Translator and any other site or any other device you can, I don't know, have, maybe applications you have in your cell phone. They are useful, but they cannot be trusted 100%. So it's something that I have to say, but they are useful. The most important is they are useful ones. The topic of our talk today, of course, is about the universalized English words. Okay, so my suggestion is that you kind of organize your own list of universalized English words. Those words that you know that it seems to you, and it seems to me, and it seems to everybody that the whole world is using. I'll give you some examples that come to my mind right now. Words like shampoo. Man, how can you say shampoo by using another word? Okay, we can kind of use the Portuguese word with XAMPU, like shampoo, but when it comes to the English language, you use shampoo. There is no other way, okay? And we use that a lot. When you buy products, in their packages, we have the word shampoo over there. Let me see, another one, the word web, for example. Although web is related to spiders, nowadays in the technological world, we say web when we mean the internet. We just say the web, and you know that's the internet, okay? So there you are, the English words that you would like to know. So then you have shampoo and web, by the way. Let me see another word that we use, and then we use a lot. Man, it's so. Let's see. Perhaps I used shampoo and web. Yeah. Let's use the word football. I think it's a nice one. Because although we have the word futebol, especially in the Portuguese language, and football in Spanish, by the way, when we say football, remember that this is British English, and this is why I'm going to use this one. Remember that in American English, we use the word soccer. So when we talk about universalized English words, never forget, never, I'll say that again, that we have the American English and we have the British English. We have other Englishes, but remember that the main ones, the most, let's say, mentioned ones are American English and British English. And we normally say first the American one and sometimes the British one, because it depends which word we're using. So why am I saying this British and American English? Because sometimes people ask, but why do you say, let me think of a word that has a different, different spelling, like the word color. So you say color and color, for example. Why do I use you sometimes and why I do not use it? Well, because one is American English and the other is British English. So here I put the other way around. So this is American English and this is British English. So when we talk about this, be careful, because sometimes we may use one word from American English or a word from British English. And if you ask me, but Jerry, which one is more used in the world today? No doubt American English, especially because of the media, radio, TV, the internet, most of all books, okay, magazines, what you can think of. Most of the time people use American English, but it's not 100%, of course. Remember that the British Empire is still somehow ruling the world. Okay, guys, so this is, I hope you got it. Okay, I don't know if you want me to say the words. I think it's a nice thing if I just go back here a little. Not everything, I would say only the suggestions, I guess. I'm gonna say the words, right? Because I guess it's important to say absent, acquire, apple. Then we have zebra, zero, zool. Then the ones from the words you would like to know, captions, subtitles. Remember, usually in the plural. Then fingers in your hands, toes in your foot or your feet, because you have two, remember? And meat house, by the way. I just remember one thing here. As we say meat house, man, how do we say it? Oh yes, I was thinking about the word in Portuguese. I remember that people sometimes say, hey Jerry, how do you say churrascaria in English? Guys, it's so nice. You say steakhouse, okay? Churrascaria, right? I remember one video in which the guy says, so you need to learn, you need to come to our Brazilian churrascaria. So the guy doesn't translate the word. So sometimes I guess you may even listen to the person saying churrascaria instead of saying steakhouse. But as far as I know, steakhouse is the word we use in English. Okay? And about now the universalized English words, remember, this is the topic of our conversation today. So remember, shampoo, shampoo, like this. Web, football, or soccer. And remember, sometimes you say color, color, American English, and color, color. This is British English, okay? Guys, thank you for your attention. I hope these videos have helped you very much. Remember, you can like it, you can share it, you can leave your comments, you can be in touch with me by using my social networks. But remember, the more English you know, the more English you need to know. Bye-bye, and see you next time.